Podcast for the last 43 minutes.
Oh, now we're live.
Hey, you didn't tell us we were live.
Welcome to the Firearms Insider. You guys, be quiet. Welcome to the Firearms Insider Gun Gear Review Podcast, episode 138. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else gun enthusiasts may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, TJ Gauthier, from the Mounted Police, apparently, Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcast shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. So who's editing the show notes over here?
Oh, I would have no idea. Well, are you Canadian?
No, eh?
Anyways, tonight we've got Chad, Rob, and Tony, the usual cut-ups around here. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good now that we got this thing moving.
Yeah, TJ Gauthier.
Yeah, freaking awesome. Just for the record, it only took us about 44 minutes to figure out how the heck to start the actual live broadcast.
Right. Well, last time I hosted, they decided to change things completely since this, between then and now, which was, what, maybe a month ago, I think. So, anyways, what did you guys do in guns this week?
I went to the range, went down to Fort Dix, showed up with my guns, ready to get my pew-pew on, and they had a range fire and shut the range down.
Oh, jeez. What's that, tracer?
Nuts. Not good.
Yeah, so it was that, and they have combat engineers building a new tower for them. So it was like just a total range day shot. Kind of sucked.
How about you, Rob? Do anything fun?
Unfortunately, no. I'm still in the middle of my move, so I'm doing all the fun crap where you got to move your license and your tags and your concealed carry permits from North Carolina to Florida. And I guess this weekend I'm going to take the Florida concealed carry class so I can get my concealed carry in Florida. They said I didn't need to, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just in case they cover anything interesting law-wise about the differences between North Carolina and Florida. But
yeah, it's good to have the little nuances. So do you have to do the thing where you got to be a resident for 30 days or something before you apply?
Right, yeah. I have to, before I can get it, I have to be a resident for 30 days, so, and I've already been here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so by the time I file, it'll probably be about 35 days.
Cool. Nice. How about you, Chad? What you been up to?
Every year they have a charity match. It's called the ABC House Match here. Locally, it's for the local child abuse center. So Lance and I went to that. Lance is my son. Shot it. It was like 6 stages. There was like 130 people there. So I guess we raised over $10,000 for the charity. Unfortunately, I didn't win any of the like 6 guns they gave away or anything cool. So that kind of sucked. We didn't get anything decent off the prize table, but such is life since I've won a couple guns from that shoot before. So we had a lot of fun. I actually, on my Facebook page, posted a video somebody took, kind of shows the range and shows the match being shot by certain people. So it's pretty cool. I guess you could jump over there. Or it's a YouTube video, so you could probably find it by searching ABC House Match.
Cool. What kind of match was it again?
It's like steel / USPSA.
So no like official type of match kind of thing?
No, it's kind of both. It's like half and half. They really only have like limited and open divisions.
Yeah. Okay.
You just kind of go, you have fun. They haven't even posted the scores yet, so I don't know how crappy I did because, well, I was shooting like crap. That's all I can say.
Did your son beat you?
He did not, but there was a stage.
That's all that counts then, right?
Yeah, there was a stage that was so close because I don't know what happened. I had a jam, and then I don't know.
Was it grape or strawberry?
Nice.
It was raspberry.
He had a senior moment.
Well, I had a pretty good week last week. I went to the range with a friend of mine and his girlfriend to try to teach her a little bit. So I did a little impromptu instruction on the range, and then I shot my relatively new to me, very old actually, CZ85. That, for the record, Tony, cycled steel case like a dream. So yes, it is better. And it was kind of funny whenever I got the thing. I noticed the front sight had kind of like mushroomed down, and I said somebody's either dropped this thing on its head a few too many times, or it was shooting a little low, and then all they had to fix it was a hammer. It seems like that was probably the case because it was shooting right to point of aim, so that was nice. Except now I'll just have to file off the little mushroom sides that hammering a front sight could leave. But other than that, it shot really well.
Oh, remember when it was made and where? Yeah. So yeah, the hammer probably was the fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was shooting. It didn't shoot that particular steel case that was horrid. It wouldn't shoot in anything, and that's the reason the guy sold it. Was because it was messing everything up. But I'm about to buy some more steel case 9mm, and I want to check it out.
Yeah, I think I was shooting Tula, which is kind of weird. I noticed I was shooting that and one of the other cheap range ammo, Winchester or Remington, one of the two, and I realized the Tula felt a little more powerful than the other brass case ammo, which was kind of odd because I always heard the steel case was kind of less. Maybe that's just the rifle ammo. I don't know.
I don't know. It feels different to me. The steel case feel actually it has more kick and more power. That's what I noticed with my 40.
It was definitely a little hotter than whatever the brass case I was using, which I think was Winchester. But other than that, that's pretty good. Been carrying all that, just kind of normal stuff. So now that we got that out of the way, we'll get to the announcements. The bandwidth sponsor is the Patriot Patch Company, so you can check out our newly added Dangerous to Go Alone patches for pre-order. And I think, let me see, I think me and Chad, these are the ones we kind of had some design input on. Mostly Chad. Mostly Chad. We have, let's see.
The beer ones? Or
are those
in quotations?
Yeah, I don't remember if those are on
the Dangerous to Go Alone ones
That's right.
The ones like
pack.
this that have like the chainsaw and shotgun and stuff.
Yeah. So we have a new 3-pack on there for $29.87. It is. There's a chainsaw with bloody chainsaw, and then a pump shotgun and a tactical pistol kind of thing with a silencer and a light, and I think that's a red dot in the back. So go check those out at patriotpatch.co. We also have the 4 Guys Guns and TGC bundles still up on Patriot Patch Co. And with the giveaway, which it says if you leave a comment on Ryan's Annihilation Inside the Waistband holster review for a chance to win a right-handed SIG 938 or M&P 9/40C holster. It says it ends on 6/21, which is today, but I think since Ryan's not here to announce a winner, he'll probably extend it a week for you guys, I would imagine. If not, I'm just putting him on the spot. So hopefully go comment on that Annihilation Inside the Waistband holster, and hopefully you can win it. And so for Black Bag Resources, which is Tony's friend, Sean, if you use the code DEFLAGRATION for $10 off of anything over $100, that's the June promo. So I'd assume it's active the whole month of June. Tony, do you know the details of that?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
That's it.
So we'll get right into the product spotlight. First up, we have the Sig Sauer Foxtrot 1 pistol light, and this is a pistol-mounted tactical light type thing with that we see a lot of, and Sig being that they got into the optics recently, I guess they decided to get into the tactical pistol light. So that's what they have here. It's let's see, it's either 200 or 300 lumens. It says maybe that's just what the runtime is. I know on their feature list it says it's programmable output 1, 2, and 300 lumens. It's the latest generation of Cree LEDs for maximum brightness and runtime. The runtime, I believe, they says 2 hours at 200 lumens off of one CR123 battery. The flashlight can be switched between the 3, so I don't know how readily it can be switched, or if it's just kind of a quick tap, or if you have to go into like a program type mode. The weapon light is ideal for home defense, law enforcement, or military applications to fit most holsters designed for handgun lights, is what they claim. It has a momentary and continuous on, ambidextrous switches for easy finger actuation, battery change through the LED bezel with quarter turn lockout. So I guess that means you don't have to take the thing off of the pistol and take the back off. You take the bezel off and just dump them out the front. So that's pretty convenient. Dependable, waterproof, IPX7 rated, and complete water immersion for 1 meter and fog-proof performance. And it comes with the battery and instruction manual. So, what do you guys think about this? I think the MSRP on it is $198, which I thought was kind of interesting because SIG was kind of getting into this, and to me it seemed like the price point would be a little more competitive because I think you can get the Surefire, which puts out 500 lumens for about 190, 200.
Yeah, well, but who knows what street price will be.
Right, yeah, the MSRP is $189, and I checked Amazon just to see if they had it, and they didn't. So I'd imagine the MSRP will probably be, $150, $160 around there at least.
And plus, you haven't been paying attention. This Foxtrot 1 is the most advanced rail-mounted flashlight available. See, Streamlight is not the most advanced, and that's why it costs what it costs. But this, according to SIG, is the most advanced.
Which is why they're going to change the name of it to the Foxtrot Utility 1.
Well, and it mounts to any Picatinny rail or SIG's proprietary rails.
See?
I didn't realize SIG had proprietary rails. Thought they used.
I didn't either.
Interesting.
I guess they do now.
I think it's just talking about other manufacturers' rails, but
yeah, okay, I mean, whatever. To me, it's just another, weapons light that you put on your pistol. I mean,
yeah, I'm curious to see it.
You're paying a lot for that little SIG logo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious to see some people run this and stuff. I hear a lot of great things about their optics, so I'd imagine hopefully the flashlight lives up to that same name, but it looks like it's got the it doesn't have the paddles like the Streamlight and the Surefire have. It has more like a button that you press inward, I guess, with I guess your trigger finger, your primary index finger, and I guess if your thumb's long enough, you could press it with your thumb with your offhand.
Yeah, because it's got it on both sides. It says so. Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like to me. So, yeah, usually you'd think if you're holding it, you could probably hit it with your thumb if you didn't want to use your trigger finger. If you just wanted like momentary on or something, because it does both. It says it does both momentary or continuous. So.
Yeah, I wish they had a little more, I guess, explanation of it, because like just the different operation of it. Do you have to hold it for constant on or double tap it, or is there a mode to turn off constant on and have it momentary only, or what? It'd be a little nicer to see that. But I guess once they come out, we'll definitely see more people talking about them. So
yeah, or a little video would have kind of
yeah. A lot of people put a little, especially SIG. They tend to have some pretty good production quality pictures and stuff. You'd think they'd have some videos that they could put out, especially with their 6 Hour Academy. They have a ton of YouTube videos. It seems like they could just shoot a short little minute-long video to talk about it.
Well, I mean, they have a SIG Sawyer YouTube channel where they just went and, did a whole factory tour. And it's like, well, why don't you show some of your stuff before anyone else does? I mean, it would be really cool. I mean, I'm subscribed to them and still nothing.
Yeah. That's interesting. Let's see. It says the spot size is 5 feet at 20 feet. I'm not sure how that compares to the other ones, but if you do know, maybe that'll be a useful thing. It does seem about the same size as the Streamlight pistol lights, and I guess they're all pretty much the same general form factor, same size, same rough shape. It kind of has that stealth bomber type look that SIG's going for most of their optics, and yeah, I think that's about it. Anybody else have anything on it?
Nope.
Okay, well, we'll move on to another SIG product, which is the Echo 1. What are they calling this exactly? The Echo 1 Thermal Reflex Sight. And this is SIG. Like I said, SIG's been getting into the optics, and this is their entry into the thermal optics, which is really cool to see more people in a thermal optic offering. This is the Echo 1 Digital Thermal Imaging Reflex from Sig Sauer. Is the most innovative direct view thermal sight in the world. It is. Let me get down to the specs. They have their website laid out really weird.
Yes, they do.
You mean
they have multiple reticles available, which I thought was pretty cool out of the gate. I don't know if, like I said, their lack of information is a little annoying on the website. So I'm not sure if these are all programmed in and you can switch between them, or if you have to pick, like EOTech or something like that. You pick which one you want when you order it.
You can switch between them.
That's good.
I went and searched all over for anybody that actually did a hands-on. Found a guy who went hog hunting with, not hog hunting, but he went with a rep, and he was checking stuff out. You can do multiple colors, so you can do, black hot, white hot, and then you can do the color, and then you can pick between reticles.
Okay,
so
cool.
You can choose different reticles, and I think you can choose different reticle colors, because of course if you get black hot, white hot, or whatever, you don't want a black reticle. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, the reticles they're showing on the information page, they just have like a standard cross, what they call an open plex, which kind of looks like a dot with, I guess it's kind of a, I don't know, like a weird hybrid of the EOTech and Crosshair. So you got a dot in the middle and then 4 T's, while the top of the T's are all kind of pointed into the dot, which they call their open plex. The square dot is just a dot in the middle with 4 angles to make up a square. And then they have a subsonic 300 blackout from 50 to 300 yards, and then a supersonic 300 blackout from 50 to 300 yards. And both of those are kind of like the, I guess, like the ACOG stepped range compensating type thing. So you put whatever corresponding hash mark on whatever range you're at to do that. So that's pretty neat that it gives you that option, especially having one for supersonic and subsonic 300 blackout, which, with a lot of people, kind of like Tony mentioned, hog hunting, a lot of people are using that for hog hunting now, thermals and stuff like that, and 300 blackout subsonic with suppressor on it, that's going to be a great setup, and then to have it pre-programmed with the ranges be really cool. What were you saying, Jeff?
They do have a little video up on the page, unlike the other site. That kind of explains, like what Tony said, how you can cycle through the different, reticles. It says you kind of use a little joystick on it to cycle through them, and then it kind of shows some of the different colors, like the black and the color and stuff like that through it. So, they even show them shooting a hog through it. So.
Cool. Yeah, they show the little black and white hot, so that's pretty neat that you can switch. Are those the only 2 colors that you can do? Do they have like the red hot spectrum?
Yeah, you got the color.
Or is it just black and white?
No, they have the color also in there. So
okay, cool.
The red hot, orange, green, blue, stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Now in their technology section, they have the Stealth ID Electro-Optics Industrial Design inspired by our legendary firearms. Deflection armor trapezoidal surfacing breaks up the shape and visibility of the optic along with pistol slide serrations and grip. I don't even know what this is talking about.
That's anyway, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I was just kind of reading it off the site, but basically, like I said earlier, it has that stealth bomber kind of aesthetic to it. But it has this lens armor technology that they're calling it. It is an abrasion resistance lens coating for extreme durability. Ensure the lenses on your scope will stay sharp, bright, and clear. So that's good. I guess they have some kind of some way to keep them from getting scratched. And then of course they have a 5-year warranty for electrical components and such.
Did you guys see much?
I was trying to get to it, but I'm not seeing where they have like a full list of them. Do you have it pulled up?
I'll just read through them. It's got a 206 by 156 uncooled VOX balometer array, which pretty much is the resolution of it. The 5 default reticles, which we already kind of went over, and the ability to design and upload new reticles.
Huh. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You can take pictures on individual or burst mode. It has a color LCD display for day-night time, direct view targeting, white or black hot menu selectable, plus color palette and game highlight, which is kind of what we went over. It does have, like you said earlier, TJ, the top mount peep sight.
That's what I thought that was.
Romeo 1 adapter plate.
Let's talk about that for a second before you move on.
Sure.
I'd seen that on the picture. It looks like just a little, almost like a rear pistol sight, just bolted onto the top of it, and I saw that, and I was kind of curious if that was if that was a backup site, and it says that in the specs. So that is pretty cool to give you that option of you have a quick backup without having to go through your thermals and stuff like that. And I guess if you can unmount that, and you can mount their micro red dot on there is what it looks like. Their Romeo 1.
Yeah, especially if the batteries on the darn thing die.
Yeah, but we haven't got to that yet.
Well, my thing is this, though, with the peep sight on the top and all that, it's already a high optic. It's already high if you look at it. Now, when you looking at this peep, how are you going to shoot? What is that? A chin weld, or do you just? I mean, seriously, it's high.
It's a neck weld.
Yeah, pretty much. Weld. I'm like, wouldn't you just be better kicking that sucker over to 45-degree angle and using those sights?
Yeah, I'm curious. For them to have that, you would imagine that would co-witness with like a standard iron sight for it to be that, but I don't know if it is. It looks taller, but I'm wondering if
the thing is, that's going to fit on top of your rifle, and I can promise you, if the battery's dying, you're not going to be able to see your iron sight at the front, unless you got a 45 offset.
Yeah, and especially with the size of that thing. I mean, it doesn't...
It's going to be a weird sight picture, but I guess it's an absolute backup. It's not like you're going to use that a ton. It's just a super emergency kind of thing. So it's good that they consider that. And then, like they said, you probably... It's got 2 screws mounting the rear sight on. You can probably just yank those out and put their Romeo 1 optic, probably uses the same screw pattern, and just screw it right on top. Kind of like, Trijicon did that with the ACOG. They had the built-in... They had a built-in front and rear sight, so your sight radius is only maybe 5-6 inches, whereas this one just has the rear sight that's supposed to correspond with your front sight. But you could they also designed the the RMR, I'm pretty sure, was specifically designed to mount onto the ACOG as a backup. So it's kind of a similar concept.
I have to tell you right now, though, if I can design my own crosshairs and there's a thermal, it's going to look like the one from the Predator. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, there you
go. They should just make that one and put it in there.
It won't be long. Somebody will do it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, a while ago, someone came up with that for the shotgun. It was actually the Predator, the 3-dot. It was for the laser for the shotgun. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. It also says... Thermal detection greater than 1,000 yards. Targeting range is greater than 300, so 300.
Well, what I was reading about this guy who actually took it out. Now he didn't hunt with it, but he was talking about the thickness of the reticle. He was like, truthfully, about 50 yards in for something that's small like a rabbit, and maybe out to 200 yards for a large boar or a large hog. He said something pretty much.
The dot was kind of large.
The comparative, because it's a thermal. He was like, the crosshairs are just kind of thick. He was like, pretty much if you're aiming for a shoulder shot on larger game, 200 is about as far as you're going to go, and for small game, 50 yards.
Well, heck.
Yeah, they don't designate the size of the dot, which is kind of interesting.
Well, but the other thing is when you only have, 206 by 156 to deal with, yeah, I can see how no matter how small you make the reticle, it's still going to look pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but before you get down on this, look at the price point. I mean, really, it's a thermal. It's not really going to break the bank for what thermals and night vision goes for, really.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think we got to the price point, but the MSRP is $31.24, but they're actually listed on Amazon. It says currently unavailable, so I assume they're just not released for sale yet. $31.24 on as far as MSRP, and on Amazon $26.71. So $2,700 basically, and that seems to be pretty competitive, easy entry to get into thermal, because it seems like most thermals well above 3,000, and this is under 3,000, which is awesome.
It also has electronic zoom from your standard 1x to 2x.
Woohoo!
2x. It's IP6 waterproof, which I don't know exactly what IP6 rating is, but I'm sure you could look it up if you really care.
Yeah.
It has 30 hertz frame rate, so you're going to notice it kind of flickering. But who cares? And it says it has an 8-hour minimum runtime.
Yeah.
And
so
also,
I guess that probably depends on the style of reticle, whether you're doing white hot or black hot or color, and I imagine that it depends
and
on
how bright you make the screen. How bright you make the screen also.
Right.
One of the guys was worried because of the size of the screen, how much backwash did you get, or how much did you light up your face? And he said, truly, when you use the red background and then turn it down, he said you really couldn't see it from far away. And if you're shooting from a tree stand or something, no one would notice. I mean, the game wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it doesn't say what kind of batteries it uses.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me see if I can pull up the owner's manual. You guys stall for a minute.
I think it uses 9 volts.
Yeah, a couple CR123s.
Does it?
No, D cells.
It uses 2 CR123 batteries.
That's not bad for that, though. Really, for 8 hours runtime?
8 hours? No.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, because I know I've heard reports of some other cheaper thermals where you got like a 20-minute runtime if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And it takes 4 123s and it's dead in 20 minutes, and while you're fiddling with the settings, it's probably dead by the time you're done, get it set up and all that. So that's pretty good for that price point. Like
it takes 10 AA's.
You got a battery. You have to have a battery pack on your back.
Exactly, yeah. You put a battery pack on your backpack and you kind of run the power cord right to your flashlight.
Actually, we did one. Ryan and I knew about it because it was on a YouTube channel we watched. We did that one, and we were talking about it. And yes, its battery pack actually attaches to the stock.
Yes,
the battery pack actually attaches to the stock.
I remember that one.
What's that? The ATN?
No, it wasn't ATN. Yeah, it was from. The only way we knew about it was because it was on this European hunting channel.
Oh, okay.
Team Wild or something like that, and they use it all the time. But the sucker actually, the battery mounts to the back, and then you can use optics with it actually, so it butts right up to the optic. You can't use them with this. But this is the cool thing is you can hook up and videotape through the optic with this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool feature, because I know a lot of I know you've talked about him before. I forget his name, but the guy in England or somewhere around there that hunts pests with his air gun, he records everything through his optic, and so that'll, that's pretty cool that you can be able to do that, and they offer that. So the dimensions of it, the height is 2.7 inches, the length is 4.3, and the width is 2.6, just to give everybody a rough size comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I think SIG did good with this. I mean, the price is fairly reasonable for what you're getting, so.
I'll be really interested to see what people think about it, because, like I said earlier when we were talking about the flashlight, I'm hearing good things about their optics, that they're really pushing hard on optics and stuff lately. So this is pretty cool that they pretty much come out the gate, because I think their optics are even a year or less old, and so they're coming out the gate with a thermal optic. So that's awesome to try to jump into that game. Try to jump into a game that not many people are in. So that's great.
Well, I think what SIG did was really smart. They hired the best people they could find, and then just dove right into making quality product with the best people they could find.
Right.
And that's just not that slag time. That's not that. You've seen it with other companies where they take over a company and then whatever they put out for the first 2 or 3 years really just sucks. I think they just skip right over that.
Yeah. Well, does anybody have any more points on this one?
Nope.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. So the next thing we have here is the See All Night optic, which is an evolution of the See All Open sight that's probably about 2 or 3 years old, I guess, now, and they've been developing and evolving that design, and so this one is called their Night optic, See All Night. I think it's kind of clever that they called it that. But what this is if you remember the first generation of them, they're just kind of like a big bulky rectangular box with a giant, almost fiber optic. They're kind of sensitive. They didn't like it being called a fiber optic. I don't know particularly why that is, but it basically, in layman's, it's a giant fiber optic rectangle with a reticle on it. It has like a magnifying lens on the back that kind of blows the reticle up a little bit, and you basically look over the optic, I guess, rather than through it. It doesn't have a traditional lens where you can see through it. But what they've done here with the See All Night is it's got tritium inside the fiber optic, I suppose, to give that light rather than needing an external light source. So that's really cool, because I actually shot one of these, and one of my criticisms was that if the light was weird spots or just low enough, you could lose the light amplification of it, and it just wouldn't be very useful. And they made it a lot more low profile to be able to. I think their big thing was to be able to put it on a pistol, which it's maybe still a little big for a pistol, but it's a heck of a lot smaller than their other one. And I'm trying to see if they have other new features. It can be used on a pistol by using like a rear sight. Like you replace the rear sight with like a dovetail mount type thing that the sight attaches to, or they have a Picatinny adapter to use. So
Right.
It's changed the reticle up. They really changed the reticle up from that triangle they have to pretty much crosshairs without the top crosshair. I think it looks better. But I mean, I remember when they first came out, and I found it on Pyramid Air. They were using it to shoot pellet guns and trying to be really precise with it, but I don't think you really got that precision.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like Tony mentioned, the previous iteration of it had a triangle reticle. It had two lines that you're supposed to line the top of the rear lens, because it's only a half circle shape. The rear lens is, so you're supposed to put the two lines at the top of that, and then you have the triangle that you put the tip of the top point of the triangle as your point of aim. But what they've done is replace the triangle, so you still have your two horizontal lines, but then you have one vertical line that replaces the triangle to give you a more traditional crosshair look. Which, again, one of my complaints of it was that triangle. The further you push it out, the bigger the triangle gets. Exactly. But I think with the crosshairs might alleviate that a little bit, because it's a thin crosshair. It's not going to get exponentially bigger like the triangle would, because if you push that thing far out enough, the triangle got so big that it was hard to find the top of it in the window, whereas the reticle, you can find that cross, probably, I would imagine, a lot easier. And I do like that they added the tritium to it. The MSRP on the pistol mounted one is $179, and the rifle, the rail mounted one is $199. So I guess you just pay a little bit more for the rail mount.
Yeah,
let's see. It requires, obviously, the big thing is that it's fiber optic and tritium, basically. So it requires no batteries. It has an adjustment range of about 150 inches vertically and 150 inches horizontally at 100 yards. So that's a pretty big adjustment range, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, it's a lot.
The thing I noticed about this is not so much the pistol one, but the rail one. I wonder how it would work on, like, just have it as like a backup site or an offset site on just like.
I really think I've looked at it. Yeah, it's kind of big for the offset, and also you have to have that right cheek weld to find it. You got to line it up to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's not like a dot
hardware. It's got a pretty big honking knob that sits off to the right, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. You spin that off.
This is like a Geotech, and it comes with just a flat screw that you can not use the knob.
Probably not.
But I guess my question is,
like Tony
what does this have above a regular, like a TFO sight or something?
The only thing that I'm looking at with this is, as I've gotten older, it's harder to pick up sights. This is kind of like, you said, a giant fiber optic. I mean, you just place it on it, you place the crosshair on the target and go, and it just lights up, because all the light comes into the top of the unit and then goes out to the sides, goes to the front, so you always have a really good light source. I mean, excuse me.
Yeah.
Really good. It glows. That's what I'm saying. It just really,
because it's got the tritium in it.
Yeah.
One thing, honestly, my criticism with the other one was that they don't have their own risers. It's kind of a weird size. So like the 3-slot risers are too short and the 6-slot risers are too long. Nothing. It just adds a lot of unnecessary clutter and I guess junk to the body of it. So I just wish they would release them with a riser. And even on their picture, they show this big old big like a 6-slot Picatinny riser, or maybe no, way more than that, probably like a 10-slot at least Picatinny riser. So you've got the sight only takes up maybe half the riser, so the rest of it you got this big bulky riser piece that is kind of unnecessary. I wish they would couple it with a proper height to get a good AR style height, especially if they're going to put it on Picatinny. Just put a different base on it, make it a little bit taller. Because if you put this on an AR, you're not going to be able to get. They show it as just the base rail, but it's only half an inch over the top of the AR's Picatinny rail. You're not going to see it very well, and if you happen to put this on a on a carbine with a fixed sight, the front sight's just going to obscure your sight picture.
The guy I saw had it on a UTG. What do you call that?
Riser.
Riser. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was not clicking with me. Yeah, he had it on a UTG riser, and it was just fine. But come on, man, if you're gonna show your product, show it the way it actually is used.
Yeah, they're showing the box. The box. This is the box art that I'm looking at. Has it sitting on this big old bulky hunky UTG type riser, and it's just kind of like, back to what Rob said about the big old knob, big thumb knob. You got this big bulky riser under it, and then it's such a small, trim little package. You'd think they could, just design its own little riser and maybe throw in the base height and the riser in the same package, so you can put it on a 1022 or a shotgun or something like that. Because on something like that, you would want it lower because the angle of the stock. But on an AR, you're not going to be able to get down low enough to see this thing, which, as we mentioned earlier, you kind of have to have that perfect location, that cheek weld, to see it. You're not going to get that on with it mounted the way they have it in some of these product pictures. So it's a little weird they decided to go that route. At least maybe show it on a traditional rifle that doesn't have a straight stock, but they decided to show it on an AR.
Look, I know doing the things I'm doing for the Second Is for Everyone, it's hard to get everything together, but if you're going to have a picture on the box, have it be the same. It look the same as the product.
Yeah, I noticed the thumb knob looks different. I think that's the big. It just kind of has a little different aesthetic, so it's probably more of a prototype on the box art, which is kind of odd.
Then they have the picture of the Delta. Now, are they going to give you multiple? Do you get to pick the See All night sight with the tritium?
Yeah.
Because it shows the Delta.
So you can
crosshair.
They show you the Delta and the crosshair. If you go to the website, you click a drop down and they give you the triangle or the crosshair option. So if you did like that triangle, or if you prefer the crosshair, so at least they still, because I'm sure some people did like that Delta but
the Delta seems to be quicker.
Yeah.
The Delta seems to be quicker to pick up with your eye, but one of the good things they did was take the word "See All" off the face of it. Because if you looked at the old ones, when you raise it up and look through it, right underneath the Delta, it had "See All" written in big letters.
Right. And that they got rid of pretty quickly, because the one that I had, I think I got within a year of them releasing it, and it didn't have that. They addressed that on their website. It was kind of an odd, I don't think you necessarily saw it when you were shooting, but I guess a lot of people thought it was kind of hokey and complained about it, and so they said, all right, we'll just get rid of it.
That's like having loophole written across the optic as you're looking through it.
Yeah, as you're looking down the glass, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well...
I know, since Ryan's not here, I'll just reiterate the fact that it has a giant thumb knob on it, and he's going to hate that. So that's specifically for you, Ryan. The big old thumb knob that he hates. Just put a little screw. It's got an Allen key on the other side, which is weird. Why are you going to have a thumb knob and an Allen key on the same thing?
Yeah,
so Ryan can complain about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I don't know.
The only reason Ryan complains is because Magpul doesn't make it.
Well, maybe the big knob is the adjustment.
No, like, that's the crossbolt for the.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was trying to give him a benefit of the doubt here.
No. Not in this case, especially when you have to use a big honking UTG riser that has two big knobs on the side of it. You're going to have the big knobbiest AR.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing about the UTG riser is like $15. Get a Dremel, cut it down to size, and pop it back up.
That's true.
Boy, you're fancy. Use a Dremel. I just take a hacksaw to it.
That's because I got class.
Oh. One thing that I found also odd, maybe they fixed, maybe they haven't. The adjustments on it didn't have any kind of click. It was just a set screw that you screwed in and screwed out, and I think it had a little array of lines to where you could at least gauge how much you're turning it by. But it didn't have any kind of clicks. It didn't really, I guess, explain itself. So you just you turn it 1/16 of a turn, and that's an inch at 100 yards or something like that. It was a very odd, like it wasn't one click or, like I said, 1/16 at 1/16 turn adjusts it so much. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that's how it was broken into 16. It had little hash marks on it. Right, right. It had little hash marks on it, but you know, it was weird. So yeah, it was more of a, honestly, sighting the thing in was more of a guessing game. You know, you get it about right, and you shoot a couple more, and you just kind of tap it over a little bit and hope it went down enough or over enough.
And see, now you see the difference between SIG coming out with something and somebody else coming out with something, as it has to evolve. You know what I mean? Right. SIG did all the evolution ahead of time and just put out a finished product. This has to grow. A lot of products do have to grow. You have to have input from shooters, but that is a significant difference between companies right there.
Right, well, and granted, SIG's a much larger company. They were able to hire all the people they needed to, and this is like a startup. This is they're one of their only products.
And I guess sometimes you have to pay for quality, right?
Yeah, they would be cool for certain applications. It's just kind of like a little hard to find the perfect application for it, you know.
And also understand, some stuff are niche products. I mean, really, it is. Again. As I've gotten older, as I've started to train people that are older, they're having a hard time seeing certain things. And this might pop for them. This might work. So sometimes, I guess, all of us, except me, get caught up and start judging products and everything else. But it's like you don't know who that's intended for or who it might work with, because you're not in that situation.
Tony doesn't judge anything harshly.
No, not at all. I'm not judgmental. Oh my God, I can't even say it.
It looks like at least one good design point. They have it mounted on a Glock in one of the product pictures, and it looks to be at smaller than the slide in one dimension, and then maybe just about the width of the slide in another dimension. Like the front of it's a little thinner than like the rear window, so at least it's not thick and wide and overhanging the slide.
Yeah, like some of the MROs or something, people are sticking on them, just hang off to the side slightly.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anything else on this, guys?
Did you guys mention the price?
Yeah, I think I did. The pistol mount is $179. The rifle or the Picatinny mount is $199.
Okay, one thing I will say about this pistol mount, and I noticed it before, and I'd say it. If you're gonna have something this big, could you at least make the front squared off so you can rack it off of something?
Yeah, I was kind of just thinking the same thing. The front is sloped.
Yeah. So the front is sloped so you can't even rack it easily off of something if you are going to use this one-handed style, because, obviously that's the new thing, is racking it off the front.
I got a Dremel tool. I'll fix it.
Dang right. Don't mess with us. We got class. Duct tape and Dremels, baby.
Yeah.
I was going to say hacksaw and grinder, but duct tape and Dremel work too.
Yep.
Yeah, Dremels are too classy for Rob.
Yeah, I'm in hacksaw and grinders.
Yeah, it tells you about Rob. He's moving from North Carolina to Florida. He's devolving quickly.
He didn't move to Jersey.
Oh, hey, that's just rude. They have different options for this, by the way. Glock, SIG, Smith & Wesson, FN, and Springfield.
Okay, that must be because the the different dovetail sights.
Springfield what?
Different dovetail dimensions. Yeah, that is kind of odd that it's Springfield. Probably, I think it's a safe bet to say the XD line.
I'm assuming,
but
Smith and Wesson what? Sig Sauer what?
Well, at least Glock, they only make one thing, so.
Yeah, Glock only makes one thing. But, I mean, everything else, you want to come up seriously?
Okay, here we go. Because actually, when you go to the drop-down, they give you more options.
Yeah, okay. I saw make, and now I just saw models. All right, cool.
Except then there's just P-Series.
P-Series what?
But I guess...
Ruger?
I don't know. Sig Sauer, I would assume. There's no Ruger option, so I'd assume that's for the Sig.
Oh, like the
P226 and such.
Yeah, I'm just joking with the Ruger, because you can put something big and blocky on the P95, P85. You don't care. It's huge anyway.
All right.
Hey, they don't do this for High Point.
So Smith & Wesson, they have all the M&P models. FN, they have the FNS, FNX. Springfield, they have the XD Mod 2, which are basically the same gun, and the XDS. Yeah, Grip Zone. What else did I miss?
No
Glock,
XDM,
obviously. Right? It's kind of weird for the Glock. They say, choose your option. They have 17 standard, 17 long slide, 19, 20, 21. Really, the only difference there
is the slide length.
Yeah, the slide length, except for the 43. But none of they all use the same sights. So I don't understand why they. It's a little weird.
Well, they have a disclosure on there that for most of the guns you don't need to worry about the individual model because they all use the same dovetails, which is weird. But whatever.
You can even get it for the Glock 25 and Glock 28, which are the 380 law enforcement only models.
Yeah, or overseas because you can't get them here.
I wonder if maybe that's just more like market research kind of thing. They just want you to let them know what you're using it on so they can put it in a brochure at some point, maybe. Because like Tony said, and like I mentioned, that's just really the slide length, the only thing that matters. Because I know with the 45 and 10 millimeter, I think the sights are slightly taller or shorter, one of the two. But that's not going to matter for this because it's just going to go in the dovetail and it's going to be the height they want it to be. So I don't know, a little weird. But anyways, we'll move on. Chad has a review this week, so you want to go ahead and kick off your review, Chad?
I will. Sounds like a fair deal. Today, I am reviewing the Lucid L5 scope. I don't know if you can see a picture of it. You could probably go to the review. There'll be the links in the show notes. It's got much better pictures than you can probably see on my crappy webcam, so I won't hold it up in too much. So basically, Lucid sent me the scope to review. They also sent me one of their L7s, which I have not reviewed yet, but I will at a later date. So I mounted the scope up, mounted it on the MDT chassis that I did a review on earlier. My local stores, plural, didn't have the worn rings in the right height I wanted, so I settled on the Weaver tactical rings, which seemed to work fairly well. Being in Oregon, I try to keep buying stuff from Oregon companies, and the worn rings are pretty darn good. So I put it in medium height rings, so after that, I started using it. Lucid touts the scope as their crossover rifle scope because they also make the L5 in a 6.224. But I do have to agree it is a good crossover scope. Be well suited for hunting. Worked very well at the range also. There's nothing really to hunt out here this time of year, so I didn't hunt anything with it. It uses a one-piece 30mm tube. So by having a one-piece tube, it should be fairly rugged. It uses a 34mm ocular lens, which the ocular lens is the one you look through, so this side. And then it uses a 44mm objective lens, which is the other end. And then it uses the L5 reticle, which is glass etched, so you don't have to worry about that. It is second focal plane, which has pluses and minuses depending on if you like it that way or not. It actually worked quite well being a second focal plane because it keeps the reticle pretty fine, so it's easier to aim at what you're aiming at, is what I should say. It made it easier. It weighs 18 ounces without rings or anything attached, so it's comparable to other scopes of its size. It's got a side parallax adjustment, which is usable from 15 yards to infinity, which is pretty much standard. The eye relief I thought was fairly generous. They stated at 3.3¼ inches to 4¼ inches, so you don't have to be super critical where you look through it or set it up on your rifle. The turrets give an adjustability of 50 MOA of windage and elevation. You get 7.5 MOA per revolution of the turret. So if I were to turn it once, I would get 7.5 MOA. It uses 8 MOA clicks, which is not your standard quarter MOA, which is kind of nice if you want to adjust something just very slightly. It's got all the other usual scope stuff: fog-proof, waterproof, coated lenses, etc. Everybody pretty much knows that. When I started using it, I actually got an appreciation for the reticle. At first, I was like, it's kind of just a reticle. The fine marks, I could make precise shots, even on magnification. The center aiming point is a .125 MOA dot, which kind of helped in that, making fine shots. It's when using their BDC, the lines are spaced every 2 MOA down the reticle, and they're at 1 MOA wide, so if you're doing windage or something. At first, I was thinking, well, why not 1 MOA? But after using the reticle, I actually started liking it. That's kind of why. Mainly because it wasn't too busy and filled with lines everywhere, making it hard to read. There are also windage dots across it, spaced at 4 MOA. So depending on magnification, your bullet, etc., you can dope the wind. Depending on the ballistics, these may or may not be too useful. I would have liked to seen them at 2 MOA intervals, because 4 on a lot of bullets is probably a little much. There's a picture of the L5 reticle in the actual article on the Firearms Insider, because it's kind of hard to explain. It's easier to look at it and say, okay, the center dot's that, and there's 1 MOA gap from dot to crosshair. The posts are 1 MOA. Left post is 15 MOA from center, same as the top post. The bottom post is 20 MOA from the center. The dots are 2 MOA apart. The 10 MOA BDC is 2.5 MOA wide line, so halfway down you get a 2.5 MOA line, which is your 10 MOA BDC dot. So it's better to look at the picture. You never really can quite tell until you do that. My favorite part of this scope is it has turrets that lock. So to adjust the scope, either windage or elevation, I'll show you this. You have to actually pull the scope up the dial, and then you can adjust it, and then you can push it back down, and it locks. You can no longer turn it. So that in itself is pretty darn cool. It also has very raised rubber grips on the adjustment turrets, and also on the power adjustment zoom. It has those same rubber things, along with, at the low power setting, it lines up with the little rubber thing that is slightly higher than the rest of them. So if it's dark or something, you can index it with your finger and know that's where it is. Kind of gives you a reference mark, which I thought was kind of cool. Now, the turrets are also resettable to 0. You take an Allen wrench, unscrew the little, Allen screw, and then pull the turret off, reset it to 0. I did notice that the turret cap always doesn't go to 0. I don't know if I can... there's a picture in the review that you can look at. It's a pretty good picture. You'll see that it's just ever so slightly off of 0. It does that with some of the other numbers when you do that too. So I think it just has to do with the 8th MOA clicks, and then you're dealing with something that's not as fine on your zeroing your turrets. So now that we have that out of the way, I kind of checked the tracking. I didn't strap the rifle down and take a big MOA target out there, but I did turn the scope 2 turns out, fired a shot, turned it back, and they're within, acceptable. It's not like it didn't reset to 0 like it should. So now onto the clarity. The clarity is pretty good on this scope, which actually surprised me. They state 92% light transmission. Not that you have any way of testing that, so you just kind of have to take it. With the magnification at 4, everything was sharp and crisp. Even at 12, the clarity still surprised me, especially for a scope in this price range. At 16, you could start to see a small haziness, but it was better than I expected, and I got a message from Lucid about that, and it said that you can... One of the problems with it is the ocular focus adjustment. If you were to just turn it slightly, refocus it once you get to the 16x, you can probably get rid of that. So that was nice to know that they informed me about that. So, I must say, after shooting it quite a bit, they sent it to me, so I didn't want to have to return it. Well, I actually still have it, so that's a good thing. I would actually like a little more magnification. I probably would have liked a 6-24 on this particular rifle, but I would not hesitate to buy one of these scopes, especially for the price. It's really clear. I like the turrets, etc., etc. List price on this thing is, I'll just tell you now, is $419 is MSRP, and the retail is anywhere from $299 to about $350. Right now, Brownells has it on sale for $299.99, so that's kind of a great deal if you're in the market for this scope. So now we'll go on to the 8 key points, the Firearms Insider Review points, minus the price, because I just told you that. The claim to fame is quality scope with a useful MOA reticle. Target markets, hunters, target shooters, anybody wanting something in the range of 4 to 16 power, mid-range power. Features and benefits, we already know it's 4 to 16, 30 millimeter tube. It is 13 1/4 inches long, weighs 18 ounces, 44 millimeter objective lens, waterproof, fog-proof, shock-proof, up to 338 Lapua, so don't stick it on a 50 BMG. The side parallax adjustment, multi-coated optics, the L5 etched reticle, 8th MOA adjustments, lockable turrets, the 50 MOA adjustment range, and it does come with flip caps, which are not super high quality, but they do work, so there's that. The other option you can get is a 6-24x50. What others are saying. This is from Amazon. Great scope for not a lot of money. I was a bit put off at first because I knew nothing about Lucid Optics. Well, I was very pleasantly surprised. The glass is clear and bright. The turrets lock and click very solidly. One thing I initially had concerns with is how fine the reticle is. The literature says the center dot is 8th MOA. So are the stadia lines. I had trouble seeing the hash marks until I focused it for my aging eyes. I can see them fine now. The scope came with flip caps. The front one is fine. The rear one doesn't fit very tightly. I also used a couple small drops of silicone to fix it in place. It works fine now. All in all, the scope does everything I hoped it would. I would buy another one if I needed it. And then there's one from Brownells, and it says, best scope for the money, hands down. Dollar for dollar, you cannot beat Lucid scopes. I'm so glad I came across these scopes about 6 months ago, and I challenge anyone to find a better scope for the money. It can't be done, period. There is a review on Guns of the 111th. Did a review on it, and there's a link in the show notes. If you need it now to availability, you can buy it from Lucid, Amazon, or Brownells with our affiliate links. Our ratings. The pros, I gave it clear glass, target turrets, the edged reticle is always nice, the turret locks are pretty cool, 8th MOA adjustments, the price, I don't think you can beat it for the price, ability to set the turrets to 0, the raised index on the magnification ring, and it does have a lifetime warranty, as pretty much everything nowadays. The cons was the slightly fuzzy, the 0 mark didn't always align on the scope body, and the windage marks at 4 MOA intervals. So I gave it a score of 8, which is great. And I think that's the review. You alive, TJ?
Hey, what was that first part again? I'm sorry, I missed it. Could you do it all over?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Hey, Tony.
Yes, sir.
There's a link in the show notes. Go read it.
I was actually reading it. I was reading the link in the show notes.
Yeah,
I wanted to skip to the end and see who did it. It was Colonel Mustard in the library with the candelabra.
Yeah, it was the old man.
Don't be so rough on yourself.
I know.
Hey, did we lose TJ? TJ has no sound.
No,
he's not talking.
Muted.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's just mad at us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was.
I had my
falling
inline
asleep, I
mic
think.
muted. I had the Hangout muted and my mic muted, apparently. I unmuted one and forgot to do the other one. So anyways, good review, Chad. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks.
Anything else? Anybody had any questions about that before we move on? Yes.
So, did you have have you done a Vortex review yet, Chad?
No, I haven't done one on Vortex.
All right, no, I was just wondering between the two, because these are around the same price point as some of the Vortex stuff in the $299 range.
From looking through the Vortex in that price range, I actually personally think the glass on this is a little clearer.
Okay.
Cool. So that's it?
Yep.
Alrighty, so we don't have any listener feedback this week, so we'll just go straight on to Tony and let him do his usual thing. So go ahead, Tony.
Before I trip into that, we were talking earlier about some night sites from England. That was actually the name of the site. It was called Night Sight, and that's the one that had the actual battery pack that you'd have to strap to the stock. And the name of the channel was Team Wild. So it's really fun watching their stuff. All right, cool. Now, my thing is Second is for Everyone. Second is for Everyone, Diversity Shoot. The next one is August 11th at Gun for Hire Range in Woodland Park, New Jersey. I got more swag. I got more stuff. I got more sponsors. It's bigger, better, and more awesomer. So if you're in New Jersey, if you're even in PA, you want to come by. If you have a couple of anti-gun people at work, but they're willing to be open-minded enough to at least try firing a firearm, we have NRA instructors. We've reduced the price down to $10, and you can bring them out, and we'll have 22s, 9mm, anywhere on up. If you're one of those people that want to buy a gun, like a pistol or something like that, but you don't know which pistol you want to buy, they have over 200 rental guns that they'll be renting out for free that day. All you have to do is pay for the ammo. Can't really beat it with a stick. I'm going to have Second Amendment groups out, yes, because I want you to join one. Why? Because pretty much the ballot this year will be about the Second Amendment. It's just going to be that darn simple. And if you're not a member of a group, well, people assume a lot about you. And if you're not a member of a group, you probably won't get the emails and know what your legislators are doing. So no matter where you are, even join a Second Amendment group, even if you're in a state that has quote-unquote good gun laws. Join a group so you know what's happening in your state, so you don't get surprised like a lot of residents of PA got surprised when their attorney general, who no longer can practice law, by the way, but is still the attorney general, decided to do something with the reciprocity agreements and drop a bunch of states. Or the same thing that happened in Virginia. Politicians are slime balls, and they will dance in the blood of victims like they're doing with this Orlando shooting. They will try to push legislation through when you're not paying attention, even in a good state, because elections are coming up shortly. They all want to look like they're doing something to save you, even though they're doing absolutely nothing to save you. Join the Second Amendment group. Be aware of what's happening in your area. I think that's really pretty much it.
Cool. Thanks, Tony. So for the wrap-up, you can send any questions or comments to the new email address at gungearreview@gmail.com, and to remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review, because it helps all the visibility a lot to leave reviews. You can check out the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes, and to be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and industry coverage. And that's it. So we'll talk to you guys later. You have a good night.
See you later.
Hey, see you next time, guys. Simon Says Train on Instagram. There you go. I forgot that.
There you go.
Later.
Bye.